This week, the Trump administration announced some new housing policy initiatives. Hi, everybody. Charity Daniels with the Daniels team. This is going to be a long one, and I hope you stick with it. So it'll be a little rambling, and I hope RB, our video editor, can make me sound more brilliant than I probably will. But I'm going to tackle a hard subject today. This week, the Trump administration announced some new housing policy initiatives. And I want to tackle these. And we're not going to go in any specific order, other than I want to start with the one that I am ambivalent on, go to the one I dislike a lot, and then maybe we'll end with the ideas that I think are actually beneficial. So let's start with the one I'm ambivalent about. And I probably just need to research it some more. This week, Trump announced that he wants Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac to purchase $200 million, government-backed mortgage bonds to help lower mortgage rates. And that sounds like a great idea. The money is supposedly coming straight out of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which makes me wonder why they have $200 million in assets that aren't being used for anything else. But all right, so let's do the government-backed bonds. This is why I'm ambivalent. Lower interest rates are only one of the affordability levers. The other is inventory and really income. Lenders are looking at not just your credit score, but they're also looking at debt to income ratio. And so to increase affordability, you really need to drive up income. Income has not kept up with inflation. So that's only one lever. And if this lever works and more people can afford to buy houses, is that going to help with the inventory problem? I don't know. All right, so that's one initiative. Let's go to the one I really don't like. Trump suggested this week that we should ban large institutional investors from purchasing single-family homes. And a lot of people initially are like, yes, down with the corporations, they're bad. Are they? First of all, how big of a problem are corporations owning single-family homes? 3% of the homes in the U.S., between 3 and 3.8, we'll call it 3 to 4 to be generous, are owned by these institutional investors. Doesn't seem like a big deal. Of all of the rental properties, about 85% of them are owned by mom and pops, people who own anywhere from 2 to maybe 20 or 30 houses, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Most only own a handful. I have two issues with this ruling. Number one, I generally don't like the government telling anybody, people or corporations, which y'all please remember, corporations are made up of people. They're made up of their investors. They're made up of their employees. They're not just this faceless blob that we can all hate. They do have people within them, unless they're fraudulent companies, and then let's go after them for fraud. But let's assume these are all corporations made up of people, supported by people, and they're renting houses to people. Should we be vilifying them? Probably not. Are they the big problem here? Probably not. Maybe in some areas they're bigger problems than other areas, but nationally, 3 to 4% of investment properties are owned by these large institutional investors. I don't think they're the issue. Using federal land for developments. This was an old idea. A lot of people were very upset about this idea. Why does the federal government need to own large swaths of land? Should the federal government, who technically is owned by us, the taxpayers, own just land, just to kind of keep it and hold it? I don't know. People out west will probably have way more ideas and thoughts on this. It's not a big a thing where we are. So I'd love to hear some thoughts on that from people who may know more about that than I do. Finally, how do we increase inventory? The government, local, state, and federal, can streamline zoning and permitting rules to help reduce regulatory costs. What builders and developers have to pay and do to meet local, state, and federal housing guidelines is crazy. If we reduce some of those costs, wouldn't that be amazing if that would reduce the cost of the housing? Just getting rid of rules. Some are, let's just pretend some rules are necessary, but are all the rules necessary? Are all the regulations? What I see developers pay into the tree fund and pooler, the city I live in, when I see on meeting minutes and the amount of money going into the tree fund, where's that money going? Why are builders, I mean, y'all, I understand if Pooler had old growth forests. We don't have old growth forests. We don't have sequoia trees. These are mostly like pulpwood trees. They're fine, but they're not all that. So why are, that right there could help reduce the cost of building in our areas. So just some ideas. Now, finally, what is really going to help with affordability? I mentioned it earlier. We need more income. If the government really wanted to work on affordability, they would work on the inflation problem. Stop printing money. The more money that's printed, the less valuable the dollar is, and the more dollars it takes to purchase goods. No matter how much those goods are in demand, and if they do things to drive up more demand, now we're going to have these dollars chasing fewer goods, which will also drive up the cost. So I think the government could do a lot to make everything more affordable just by following good monetary practices. I'm probably asking for too much, and it might just be easier to ban the institutional investors from purchasing single-family homes. That'll be easier, so let's just do that, even though it's probably not going to move the needle a whole lot. Those are my thoughts, my ramblings. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it and change my mind on some of this stuff. I'd appreciate it.